We're going to go ahead and call to order our regularly scheduled Utility Service Board meeting. It's Monday, October 10th. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Happy Columbus Day, everyone. The first order of, there's going to be two changes to the agenda. One slight change to item 7. Chris Wheeler is going to be presenting on the appeal by Turbo US, and number 9 is going to be stricken as that MOU is not finalized yet. So we'll move ahead with the approval of the minutes. Are there any questions about last meeting's minutes? Okay. Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, we have approval of the claims. We have 4 types of claims. The first one is the standard invoices. Are there any questions about the standard invoices totaling $1,129,039.70? Well, I'll go ahead. I have 2. The first one, and these are related to just the description's usually sufficient to understand what's going on, but sometimes it's a little cryptic. And there was one that I needed help on. Let's see if I can find it. It's the first financial for the 1-year subscription to the JAWS reading software or blind, and I didn't understand that.
We have software. We have a blind person help us out in our purchasing department doing contracts for us, and he's blind and he needs that software to do his job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. That's awesome. All right. So next up, let's see, commercial service. So that was page 3. This next one's on page 2. Incorrectly installed sump pumps correctly. What was this this task in relation to, or this job in relation to? Commercial service, page 2.
Yeah, so this is part of the Clearwater Reduction Program, and we went out and canvassed neighborhoods along with letters trying to locate sump pumps, and this was where customers reached out to us and notified us they did have a sump pump. We had commercial services was contracted to go in, locate the sump pump, and then determine if it needed to be disconnected or not, and then they provided us with a suggestion on how to reroute that so it's not connected to the sanitary sewer. So this was, I think, I'm not sure which invoice this was, but I think there's still money left on that contract as part of that project.
Excellent. And this was some of the work for which we received funds from the property at where the Kmart location was, where they were developing, and we got money in, and we're spending it here to reduce load.
That's correct.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Did you get yours, Kirk?
Yeah, I found it. It's page 6. This is kind of a technical thing we need to work on, really engineering-wide, for the Milestone contract. That's listed as Jordan River Storm Culvert. It's been renamed to Campus River, so we need to make that change.
It's Campus River through town. We are still looking at naming the portion that leaves campus, and it was our understanding that Campus River was a temporary name, or sorry, I said it backwards. Campus River through campus, and then it changes names. We're actually considering Clear Creek at the point that it enters the underground system.
Okay, so that means it's the part that when it goes underground at Indiana. From that point on, it wouldn't be Campus River.
Correct.
All right.
Our understanding campus was just a temporary name.
It probably will be. And so then the city portion is going to be named what, do you think? Or you
Consider
know?
it Clear Creek, because that's really what it is. The outfall of it is Clear Creek, so that's what Vic and I have been discussing. The claim that's in there for Milestone, their contract actually was called Jordan River Culvert Reconstruction. It's how it was bid out,
That makes sense.
so that's.
Guess we'll have to leave it like that then.
And they're almost done, so.
But the campus part of it no longer has that name on it.
Right.
So we'll just, for the record, I guess we need to make note of that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments about the claims? All right, do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, we have utility bills totaling $32,345.46. Any questions about the utility bills? Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, wire transfers totaling $497,599.63. Any questions about the wire transfers? Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes as well. Customer refunds. Any questions about the customer refunds totaling $1,327.43? I have a question. What was the reason there were so many of these Hunter Hoosier Court property customer refunds?
Looks like they paid with one check, and they sent one check in, or two checks in actually for 1 month's payment.
So they paid twice?
And it only comes in, I mean, they pay all the bills with one check, so, you know, we couldn't.
Oh.
So each one is $2.60. Looks like there are tons of $2.60.
I haven't looked at
Okay.
the individual accounts.
Okay, so there's a number of different accounts paid by one check. They paid incorrectly, so they had to reimburse all the individual accounts. Okay, understood. Thank you. Other questions about the customer refunds? Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
All in favor, sorry, we need a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that is the claims. Next up, we have the approval of the consent agenda with 3 items totaling $6,672.84. Who is in charge here?
That's me. That's me. So my name is Matt Havey. I'm Assistant Director for Finance. I'm pleased to present the consent agenda tonight. For agreements, as you said, totaling $6,672.84. The first one is from Wessler Engineering Incorporated for $2,000. That was to validate the CBU 2021 AWWA water audit. Electric Plus Incorporated for $3,740 to install LED lights in the high maintenance room at Monroe. The third is Omni Management LLC for $932.84. That was to repair the autoclave at Dillman treatment plant. Would anybody like to discuss any of these individually?
Nope.
Hearing none, if there is no objection, then the consent agenda will be approved as presented.
Thank you.
Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved.
All right, next up, we have a bid opening for the Monroe Water Treatment Plant Filter Media Rehabilitation Project. Dan Hudson.
I'm Dan Hudson, the Capital Projects Manager for the record with the City of Bloomington Utilities. This is the second bid on this project, and we have one bidder that came in, and it's with Building Associates. The base bid is $2,480,700. The first alternate is a deduct of $381,800. The second deduct is $820,300. Would like to entertain any questions that you have on this?
Yes, Gene?
Did we have an engineering estimate
Yes.
on the work?
Yeah, we did. Let me pull that out here. Yeah, the engineering estimate is from Arcadis Engineering. The base for the engineering is $2,980,800. $2,900,800. Let me get that right. The second deduct, first deduct is $2,926,900. 2,926,900. Okay. The second deduct is $1,707,100.
Dan,
Yes.
the deducts are atypical. We usually, we're not used to hearing those. Can you explain those a little bit in this case and talk about how they relate to the engineering estimates for the deducts?
Yes, the deducts, that's kind of an unusual way to do an alternate, but Arcadis wanted to do it that way. The base bid, first of all, the base bid includes filter media replacement of any need under drains. It also includes a air handling system and repairing the ceiling with structural repairs and all new electrical and lights. That's the base bid. The first deduct takes out the HVAC system and puts in a different HVAC system that should be cheaper to do if we want to go that direction. The second deduct takes out all the HVAC and does not include any air handling in it. Yeah.
So is the change of the air handling critical to this particular project?
It is. There was a safety concern, and we had the air analyzed. When you do the backwash of the filters, you get a really strong chemical smell, and it was higher than what they call the LDL. It's the LDL 50. Not much higher, but a little higher, but it is a non-occupied space. Occasionally, an operator would go in and out, but it's enough that we thought we needed to evacuate the air in there. And that's why we had an HVA system. But after further consideration, we thought maybe a different HVAC system with less ductwork and not really made for human occupation, but just get the air out would be the best. And we haven't quite decided which way we want to go, but now we have the price, and we'd like to come back on the 24th with our recommendation for this.
Okay, I didn't understand, you had said the base is about 2.5 million, their
Yes.
bid. They bid the deduct 381,000?
Yeah, 380.
For the first one?
381,800, yeah.
Yeah, and then 820 for 820,000 for the second with no HVAC at all.
No HVAC at all.
And you said Arcadis, the total bid was 2.98 million. And
Yeah.
then the HVAC replacement deduct number one was what number?
$2,926,000.
That doesn't make any sense.
I think he's saying the total for the project, right?
Yeah, but it still doesn't make any sense. So that would mean they do the project for 54,000, which,
No, I think that for the deduct, for the bid, he gave the 387. For the estimate, he gave the total after the deduct was taken out. So that would be 2 million something.
2.9 again?
No,
What was it? What was that number for the engineer's estimate for the alternative one?
Alternative one, the total engineering estimate for alternative one is $2,926,900.
Okay, but you
Nine.
said the engineering estimate overall was 2,980,000. So that
Well,
doesn't,
that's with a different type of HVAC system.
No, you said the second was with no
Oh.
HVAC.
No, the second one has no HVAC
okay,
system.
I see. So, I
Which is
see. So it's
1 million,
slightly different one is $54,000
Yes.
less. The second one is like 1.2 million less.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
with
understand now.
no, the second one has no HVAC
Th-
system.
th- Thank you.
But-
but the bid estimate, instead of 54,000, is cutting it by almost 400,000, which is odd.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so there, it's a
I can show
deduct
you,
of
would you like to see
381.
this? I don't know if I'm
It-
allowed to hand this to you.
They're saying the bid is 381 less than their 2.4 million.
Yes.
So you're just two sets of numbers. We'd have to subtract those deducts from the base to get the same numbers as the engineering.
Yes.
That was the confusing part.
Right,
Okay.
this is a very confusing bid.
No, I understand. Now, do we need to clarify further?
I don't think so.
Okay, well.
Sounds like a good deal.
I struggled there for a moment. Thank you, Dan. So you'll, are there any other questions for Dan?
Well,
Yes,
I guess thinking again of the bid and then the first deduct, it
yes,
sounds like engineering views those as costing approximately the same,
approximately the same.
and yet the bidder is willing to do the second choice for $400,000 less. So it sounds to me like that's a good thing to jump on.
It is, but we
That's
still
just me.
need to decide if that's the appropriate
Right.
HVAC system.
I understand.
That's still under consideration, but I think that may be the way we go. I don't know.
Okay, so we'll look forward to you coming back and letting us know if we accept this bid, and if so, which of the alternatives we want them to proceed with?
Yes, we will do that.
Okay.
We'll give you the alternatives, and this is an important project for the plant. I just wanted to bring that up. They really need their filters replaced. With that said, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Next up, we have the bid opening for the North Fritz Terrace Sewer Rehabilitation Project. Phil Peden.
Hi, Phil Beeden, Engineering Department. We have 5 bids for the sewer rehabilitation project on the north side of town in the North Fritz Terrace neighborhood near Cascades Golf Course. I'm going to do them in alphabetical order, and I think you all have a sheet there you can add those to. As I read them off, we're going to read a base bid, and then we have an alternate. That's to make the adjustment from the last time where we had everything included. So. First bid is from Inliner Solutions. Base bid is $782,725. And the alternate bid is $142,500. Next bid is from In Situ Form, and it is base bid $719,628.90. Alternate bid number 1, $134,085. Next bid is from Miller Pipeline. Base bid, $626,775. Alternate bid number one, $138,000. Robinson Pipe Cleaning is the next bid, and the base bid is $954,350. Alternate number one is $150,000. Sorry. I can't find the.
Is it on this second
hold on.
chunk here?
Let's try it. Thanks, Matt. I saw one number, but I didn't see the actual form. It's here somewhere. Just adding to the suspense is what I'm trying to do here. I think I've got I don't see the bid form in here, but I think I have a base bid number. Now, this is for SAK, $735,200. I don't see the form, so I'll continue to look here, but that's the final bid.
Okay.
So,
So we'll, if you do find it, you can come back
Okay.
and let us know, but we can move on to questions.
all right.
So is this like the previous one where you will choose between the base or some alternative which leaves a lot out?
Yeah, so we can choose just the base, or we can add the alternative, depending on what those came in at. But we had to make the adjustment and we adjusted the quantity too, so that we can meet our budget values. Our estimate for this project was a little under 800,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Can you, I'm not familiar with any of these companies. Can you at least tell us where they're located?
Yeah, I can look at,
What their letterhead says?
SAK is in Missouri. Robinson's out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Miller, they're out of Indianapolis. In situ forms out of Missouri based off of this, but I'm pretty sure they have an Indianapolis office as well. And Inliner's out of Orleans, Indiana.
Thank you.
Other questions for Phil? All right, so,
We will take these under advisement, try to find this remaining document. If I find it yet during the meeting, I'll make a point to make sure and read that off, and then we'll be back in front of the board in a few weeks.
okay.
Thank you.
So at the latest, we'll hear from you next meeting.
Yes.
Great. All right, moving on to item 7. This is, Chris Wheeler's going to present on the appeal of Title 9.17, notice of violation by Turbo US LLC.
Good afternoon or evening. Chris Wheeler with City Legal. I believe that a representative of Turbo US is online with us. Is that correct, Latrina? That's correct. And as the appellant, I would ask that he or she have the opportunity to speak first, and then we will respond in kind.
Great. You're muted. Or our volume is down. Give us one moment, please. Yeah, it looks like you're muted, sir. We can't hear you yet.
Matt found the document.
It slipped out. Oh, there we go.
No, hang on a second, Phil.
Okay.
Sir, if you can keep talking, we'll let you know when we can hear you. We did hear you for one brief moment, but that was all. And we're waiting to be able to hear you.
Sure he can hear you.
I'm hoping he can, but I'm acting as if,
We have faith.
yes.
Ask him to nod if he can.
Squeeze my hand if you can hear me.
Can you please nod if you can hear us? Okay. We can't hear you still.
Maybe on our end, though.
It's possible, yes. Although his connection appears to be intermittent in terms of the video feed. Sir, could you try just using the audio and seeing if that allows us to get your signal?
Or if we have his number, can we just call him?
Or if we could, yeah, we could get his number, we could dial him in.
Yeah.
and hold the phone to the mic. Could you provide your phone number in the chat, and we will call you back so we're able to get your audio feed? We'll call you directly. Is that okay? We do have chat, right? Okay. Do we have his phone number elsewhere that we could?
Chris, do you happen to have his number?
I do not have his number.
Okay. Didn't know whether he may have emailed it to you as part of the appeal process or
He can hold up fingers.
I was getting ready for that, yeah.
There aren't that many digits. And they're all between
Is this
one
something
and-
that, Chris, is this something that could wait till next?
It most
meeting?
certainly, yeah,
I mean,
it's
I
going to
wanna
have
make
to
sure
get,
that-
it's going to have to get tabled if we can't hear the appellant, and he's present and wishes to speak, so we may have to just push it off for 2 weeks, and maybe invite him to be here in person, and maybe not offer these types of remote services until we know they actually, IT can get everything functioning correct on our end, assuming it's on our end. It could be his.
It looked like it was on his end. But yeah, I agree that we should move ahead. Would you like to brief the issue?
I don't think I'll do that, honestly. I'll wait until we have an opportunity. The memo is before the board, and certainly the board is at least that far into the game, so to speak. But I'd like to wait and have the appellant have an opportunity to speak before we respond.
And are they currently discharging to our
Well,
system?
To my knowledge, they have a grease trap but I would have to have Mr. Wenning talk about that.
Okay,
But-
Mr. Pulliam, can you please give us a hand signal of your phone number and we will call you? Yeah, that's what we're going to resort to, okay?
And
We can try it at least. Or if you can write it down, perfect. That would be even better because your connection's a little intermittent.
here it
Okay.
comes.
318-564-1868. Okay. You can go ahead and hang up, Joe and Mr. Pulliam, and we will call you right back. Thank you.
That's hilarious.
There we go. What, no?
Are we?
Yeah, that's him there.
Well, this will be more dependable.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna put you on the speaker, okay? Okay, Mr. Pulliam, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Pull it out so that we can hear it a little bit better.
Everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. You can go ahead and speak now.
I want to say is, it's obvious why I make destruction and not in any of the sophisticated electronic skills.
Yep.
So, I don't know what happened with being able to dial in, but I appreciate your working with, thank you.
Thank you.
So you can go ahead and we'd like to hear from you first, and then you can stay on the line and hopefully we can find a way for you to hear us as well.
Yes. Yeah, I'm Joe Pulliam, the Director of Construction for Holding, and he's there, is one of our locations. And when we received the notice of having to upgrade the facility, I actually went out and I looked at the, and so on, and got history on the store. And, you know, it's a very low volume store, number one. The expense would be between $20,000 and $30,000. So we've not had any violations, and I didn't see anything wrong with the grease trap physically. So my appeal is based on the fact it seems that we were supposed to change just because the franchise ownership changed. We've not made any material to the building, or do we intend to? But the expense would be a bit of a burden on that location. That's the reason for my appeal.
Okay, would you like to, is that your entire statement?
Yes,
Oh.
that's just as long as, that's the long and short of it.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and,
Thank you.
thank you. We're going to go ahead and have our staff speak for our side. This will be Chris Wheeler.
Thank you
From
again.
City Legal.
Yes, thank you. Chris Wheeler with City Legal. And we also have Jason Wenning here to answer any additional questions that you might have with regards to the specs for grease interceptors. And he's here. I'd like to draw your attention initially to why we even ask for restaurants to do this, and remind this board that fats, oils, and greases generated by restaurants are one of the primary foes of a proper functioning wastewater system. The grease that enters into your wastewater system is one of the main causes for backups, clogs, and just not allowing your wastewater system to function correctly. And that's why, and I don't remember when, I didn't look, but that's why Bloomington Municipal Code 1017 was brought into existence. And my understanding from looking at some of the documentation that was initially generated for 1017 was to have all of the restaurants in Bloomington switch to grease interceptors at the time that Bloomington Municipal Code 1017 was enacted. There was a great deal of pushback at the time by the restaurant owners, and there was a compromise reached with regards to the language of this code section, and that was to allow for some sort of quote-unquote, I hate the term, but grandfathering that was brought into play, which would allow existing restaurants to enjoy their existing efforts to control grease, fats, oils, and that's generally by using grease traps. But to go ahead and do what they're doing and not be required to immediately upgrade to a grease interceptor. And instead, what we did was put into the code a term of art called the new restaurant. And new restaurants, or new food service establishments, if you will, are any facility which is, I'm going to scroll down for a minute, that is opening for the first time, opening in a new location, or opening under new ownership or a new name. And in this situation, we have just that. I don't know for how long this Arby's has been in existence, but it has enjoyed for a very long time no need to upgrade. But here we are on one of those triggering events, and the name has, the ownership has changed, and therefore they are required to upgrade to a grease interceptor. We've heard this time and again, that it's a burden on the restaurants to do this. But time and again, it has been this utility's requirement and this board's expectation under the code that at the time of a triggering event, you have to bite the bullet, you have to put in the new grease interceptor. And I'd
Hold
ask
on,
for
just,
an opportunity to speak.
one moment, sir. Let Mr. Wheeler finish, please.
Thank you kindly. So as a result, on June 30th, Mr. Wenning went out as the code enforcement officer for the utilities under this section 1017 and conducted a site visit and spoke with on-site management about installing a grease interceptor. And when the appellant did not comply, that was when we followed up with additional emails and then issued on August 1st our first tier notice of violation. On September 6th, CBU issued a second-tier notice of violation to the appellant by registered first-class mail. Return receipt requested. The appellant still has, to this date, not installed a grease interceptor, and I believe is requesting self-regulation. If the board were to approve this request, I think it's stepping out on a very bad precedent. I recommend strongly against that. BMC 1017 certainly does not contemplate self-regulation. Rather, BMC intends to require each and every new food service establishment that discharges into our sanitary sewer system to install a new grease interceptor. And that's why we ask as a staff and recommend to this board that the appeal be denied and that these NOVs be upheld. Happy to answer questions or to hear from the appellant. And Mr. Wenning, as I said, is here to also speak to the board if you wish.
Yes, Mr. Pulliam, if you'd like to speak one more time, please feel free.
Thank you. Obviously, I can only go by the documentation that we have where we have the it's in good working order. We're just a family shop. We don't generate much grease, if any, to speak of, versus a traditional restaurant, be it an IHOP or an Applebee's or a Chili's or Wendy's or a McDonald's. We're Arby's. We're basically a Subway type family shop. We're all familiar with these is, and so that is just another reason that the expense would just be, no offense, but ridiculous. To upgrade a grease trap that doesn't even carry much grease. I understand, I deal with this in all the different cities I'm at, and Arby's is always at the very low spectrum. Many of our restaurants don't even have grease traps because of the nature of our business. But that's really all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pulliam. Questions from the board? Go ahead, Amanda. I could see you first.
Okay, so Mr. Pulliam, this is Amanda. I am one of the members of the board. I've often reminded of a phrase where it says, basically ignorance of the law or ignorance of the rules does not excuse us sometimes from following the rules. But my question regarding that is, was it disclosed to you by the previous owner that the franchise was grandfathered in this manner? So were you aware of it, or was that not disclosed to you?
No, it was not disclosed. We became aware that there was a notice of violation.
Okay. That's my only question. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, Chris, I have a question. So this applies to each and every restaurant in town.
It does.
So I'm following up on his comment that they don't generate a whole lot of grease, which is probably true. But I'm thinking about Subway, which, as far as I know, doesn't generate. I mean, they don't have French fries. They don't have grills. They don't.
If they've got salad dressing, they've got fats, oils, and greases.
So it does apply to every restaurant, regardless.
It's even more so. It's more aggressive than that, Mr. Sherman. When there are new establishments being created, new commercial buildings being built that are coming online in the city that are in areas zoned for restaurants, they have to put grease interceptors in. Or, and this is to me the only exception that we have with regards to putting grease interceptors in, they have to sign a restrictive deed covenant that says that they will not put a food service establishment in that new commercial space. Then and only then will we not make that commercial space put a grease interceptor in. Because one of the biggest complaints that restaurateurs have had is, well, we don't want to tear up this brand-new floor, we don't really have the space, so we just go ahead and make new construct, put the grease interceptor in at the time that they're putting these new commercial spaces in. So we capture that aspect as well of the commercial industry.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it applies to each and every
It does.
preparer
Yeah, we
of
don't look
food,
at a grade, we
regardless
don't
of-
look, because the next person that comes in
I understand.
might not be Arby's. We want to get the grease interceptors in the ground.
So my other question is, what is the next step?
The next step is for Arby's to put a grease interceptor in.
I understand, and if we go another month and there's none, and another month,
Then
what is
we-
the next step
We
from the
issue
city?
additional notices of violation. Well, we have a gradient of opportunities at hand, all of which can be utilized or one at a time or all at once, or we can just jump straight to the end, which would be to bring a legal action for enforcement of 1017 against Arby's, which we've never had to do with a restaurant company in the past, and we hope never to have to do. We want compliance, not having to fight. We also really don't want to issue fines. We'd rather just see compliance.
Got it, thank you.
Other questions? Jean?
I'm wondering if the people who are experts in this technology can explain to me the difference in terms of effectiveness of keeping grease out of our systems between the grease trap that may already be in place and grease interceptors. Like, how much of a difference does that make?
Absolutely. Jason Winning, I'm pretreatment coordinator, oversee the FOG program. Yeah, that is a good question. And the difference between these smaller inside grease traps and the one installed in this location specifically is a very outdated model. So efficiency-wise, it's not going to remove quite as well as these newer interceptors, and it's not going to retain as much grease. So when we're talking about an outside interceptor, we're either talking about a gravity grease interceptor, which is a minimum of 750 gallons, which holds about 1,000 pounds of grease and is cleaned every 90 days, or a hydromechanical grease interceptor, which is a base 275 gallons and also holds a little over 1,000 pounds of grease. These hydromechanical interceptors are rated to remove up to, I believe, 93% of all incoming grease up to a failure point, which we reach well after our 90-day pump-out requirement. Those kinds of strictures are not in place on these smaller inside type devices.
Okay.
And also those devices, generally, we ask that they be cleaned every 30 days to maintain compliance with those. The last information we have at this location was in March of this year. So there's definitely not been the service upkeep, and that's a lot easier to track and maintain with these larger grease interceptors as well. So hope that helps answer your question.
Thank you.
You're aware that we have an in-ground grease trap.
Yes, sir. It is installed in ground. However, it is of a device type that is normally installed indoors underneath the 3-bay sink or underneath flush with the floor. It's actually the first time I've ever seen this type of installation on one of these devices.
Amanda, please.
Jason, just to clarify something, you said the last time, prior to the June 30th visit, was you visited in March of this year.
That's the last recorded clean out that we have. Now,
Okay.
those are reported to us. generally.
Self-reported by the
Yes.
franchisee or
Yes.
owner?
Yes,
Okay.
by somebody with the food service establishment reported one back in March. That's the most recent we have in our database.
And then another question for you, Mr. Pulliam. This is Amanda Burnham again. When did you acquire the property?
We acquired these locations sometime in June or July.
Of this year?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a very recent acquisition.
Okay, great, thank you.
Jim?
Jason, what's the approximate cost of a grease interceptor? Just wondering.
So I know market price right now for one of the hydromechanical grease interceptors I mentioned, the 275-gallon model, they're running somewhere around $4,800 right now, retail, through the manufacturer. Of course, there would also be install costs associated with that as well, but that's the base device cost. If they were to go concrete, I believe that's going to float in the range of 6 to 8, last I heard, depending on manufacturer.
Okay, so I imagine that could be paid off over time.
I would assume so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Jason, in your, in the body of knowledge that you've acquired in this position or previously, or maybe something you've read, how does an Arby's rank with other fast food restaurants that also have deep frying versus maybe a sit-down restaurant, or, in terms of grease generated? Can you just comment on an Arby's versus other locations, other types of restaurants?
As far as that goes, generally when we're looking at these different classes of restaurants, a restaurant such as Arby's would be grouped in with these other fast food restaurants, namely because they do have fat fryers and the like, where they're doing fries, onion rings, mozzarella sticks, all that, and that's really going to be the major generator here, and less so the burgers versus cut deli meat or whatever that distinction is. So the presence of fat fryers is really puts them together in the same class.
And then sit-down restaurants, are they more or less than the fast food?
Generally, sit-down restaurants are going to be a little bit more. The issue there being flatware cleaning, things like that. Fast food, you have single disposable, disposable flatware, tableware, and everything like that. It's going to be thrown away at the end, taken out of the waste stream, whereas a sit-down restaurant where you have knives, forks, you have dishwashers, things like that, that's going to put more grease back into the system.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions for Jason? Questions for Chris? Any final statements, Mr. Pulliam, before we make a decision?
No, I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent our business. I appreciate your consideration, but thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Mr. Wheeler, does staff have a recommendation?
Staff's recommendation, I mentioned it earlier, and I'm happy to repeat that, is that the appeal should be denied and the NOV upheld. There is a checkbox at the bottom of the proposed order form that would give the board the opportunity to deny the appeal and uphold the NOV, or approve the appeal and overturn the NOV.
Okay. Do we have a motion to move forward?
What, a motion to move forward in terms of saying a motion to approve or deny, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will move that in following with the recommendation of staff and prior, and the outlined items in the ordinance, that the board deny the appellate's appeal.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The appeal is denied. Next order of business is request for approval of an agreement with Indiana University for wastewater sampling. Again, Jason Wenning.
Hello again. Jason Winning, pretreatment coordinator. This is for the understanding for the wastewater surveillance program. partnership between Indiana University, City of Bloomington Utilities, Monroe County Health Department, and IU Health. This lays out CBU's portion of the agreement, namely our payments for the services rendered by IU and laying out our responsibilities within the sampling program. Any other questions anybody has about that program?
Questions? Please, Jim?
Yeah, a little while back, a new faculty member in SPIA came and spoke with us. Is this done in conjunction with his research group, or is that separate?
This is with Dr. Justin Greaves'
Yes.
lab. I'm not sure if that's that same gentleman or not. I believe so.
Okay.
It is.
He's, Jim, he's with the School of Public Health.
Okay.
Didn't I say SPIA?
Well,
Oh, public health.
yeah,
I've been away
Which
from
used-
this too long.
that used to be hyper.
I understand.
There, now you got
I
it.
got it. SPIA, SPA, so,
Public and Environmental Affairs versus Public Health, yeah, I can see that.
yeah, okay, so the answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. It's that gentleman. And so we're looking.
I
Yes.
can provide a little more insight. I think we've chatted about this before. I'm not sure the difference, we're already paying for this, for the out-of-state lab, right?
That's
For this
correct.
kind of sampling. I'm not sure what we pay there for a year. Have you combined the two, or compared the two, excuse me?
We pay $330 a sample there, 4 times a month. So, actually, no, sorry, it's twice that. We pay $330 a sample. We sample both plants, so that's 2 samples a week, 4 times a month. If somebody has their calculator out, that would be wonderful.
3,000.
Yeah, this may be a bit more, but the trade-off is that 2 things. One, we're going to get quicker turnaround on the results, number one. Number 2, this is going to give us a capability to test for a wide range of viruses, depending upon what the county health department and others look for that they need assistance with. This, as I've talked with Professor Greaves and our friends over at IU Health and the health department, what they're excited about here is this will allow the healthcare system to be able to more quickly and in a more timely manner find out where trends are and adjust staffing accordingly if need be, so that we're not caught at a time when we've got a big spike in COVID or flu or whatever it might be. So it's it's going to cost a little more, but it's going to be more efficient, I think, or more effective for us.
As a surveillance system.
Yes.
And this is also doubling the amount of samples we're taking each week. Currently, we are sampling at both Blucher and Dillman 1 day a week. This program will have us sampling every Tuesday and Thursday at both plants.
Yeah, that was an issue because sometimes we have these spikes in what we're doing right now. This gives us a second sample in that week so that we can see whether that was an anomaly or not.
Yep.
It's part of that thinking.
So it gives us quicker turnaround and gives us more granular data as well. We're expanding this beyond just the city. They're also sampling Ellettsville, I believe the South Central, the Caslon plant down by Lake Monroe, as well as a couple other counties that IU Health is working with.
Right. The plan here is for the city to partner here and do these 2 sample sites. The university will do a couple of campus-related sites. We're in discussions with IU Health to do Paoli and Bedford. And we've asked the county commissioners for assistance to do Ellettsville and that Southwest District. So this would give us a total of 8 sites in the region, which is really our public health regional service area that we need to be careful with when these kinds of infections come up.
Any other comments or questions for Jason? Okay, do we have a motion for?
I need to ask a
Oh,
point
please.
of order.
Please go ahead.
Chris, can you help me a minute? I bet you can. Should I abstain on this since I'm an IU employee? I have no financial benefit from this at all, except that I work there, but I don't work for this department, and it has nothing to do with my employment standing.
The bright line rule is whether or not your decision on this board with regards to a matter somehow is impacted by your employment. If your choice to weigh in on this matter is influenced by your employer, your employment, then you should abstain. The fact that you are a member of IU certainly lends some element of concern, and to be safe as opposed to sorry, it's always a good idea to go ahead and abstain rather than go through the struggle of trying to argue your way out of a situation.
Good deal. And your
Yeah.
point, your question was some element of concern.
Yeah,
And that's
well-
a good way to describe that. So I'll abstain on this for that reason. But as I said, I don't have any financial interest. Or
Yeah, that's just the safest way to
Terms of
go.
employment have nothing to do with this.
It's always the safest way to go to, when there is any doubt, just go ahead and get out.
Got it. Thank you.
I am also still an employee of IU.
Uh-oh.
I mean, we won't have enough votes.
Well, and that's where you got to get into the analysis, because honestly, the analysis is to determine, does your immediate boss, do the bosses above you, does somebody have an influence on you that would cause you to make a choice that you might otherwise not want to make as a member of this board representing this utility? And that's really what it gets down to. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, we would still have 4 votes, I believe.
Well, I will also. I know I used to follow Jason Bannock, and sometimes he would abstain, and other times he would say, this is not in conflict for me, so I don't see that this is in any conflict for
Okay.
me, so.
I'll go ahead and abstain since I have been involved with the community relations aspect of this and putting a partnership together. That'd be a good thing.
We appreciate those efforts. Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Here,
Thank you.
recorded so forthwith.
All right. Again, we are going to skip over 9 and revisit that hopefully at the next meeting. And we will move on to item 10, request for approval of an agreement with Michael and Tamara Machango for the sewer main extension. Chris Wheeler, again.
I think I can start saying good evening now. Chris Wheeler, City Legal. And this is another one of our sewer main extension agreements. This one is with a husband and wife, owners of 2 parcels of property. Michael and Tamara Machango. They own property on South Peachtree Lane, and they've petitioned for sewer service and need an extension of the sewer main, which actually stops on West Allen Street, just shy of their street. So the sewer main would be installed by the Machangos in lieu of paying a deposit for the cost of installation and having CBU then install. The extensions would continue the main by running it east along West Allen Street and then turning north up South Peachtree Lane, just to the edge of the 2 properties and stopping there. This extension serves those 2 properties, and there is potential for 3 other properties on the line to also connect as what we call subsequent connectors. There would be a revenue allowance to the Machangos for their 2 properties. Each one of those properties, upon connection, would receive a $1,014.12 revenue allowance. There is also the opportunity The Machangos may be entitled to a subsequent connector refund if any of the 3 potential subsequent connectors would connect within a 10-year period from completion of the main installation. We recommend approval of the agreement, and I'm happy to answer questions if I can.
Chris, will CBU do any examination of the?
Yes. Yeah,
Make sure it's
the
done
agreement calls for CBU's review of the line as proposed. They then review the line as installed in order to determine whether it's been installed according to the specs. We get to review the specs, make sure that it all is something that CBU wants to or would have put in its own place and would like to accept into its inventory.
I figured.
So Peachtree runs north from Allen up to Second?
I don't know where it runs to, but I know it runs north up from Allen.
Okay, and how's this relate to our service boundary?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I'm assuming it's Area A?
Nancy Axum is the one who has been leading the charge on this, and I wish that she were here to answer that question for you.
Could someone just pull the map up quickly so we can?
Those areas are reviewed by Vic Kelson and City Legal each time at this point, and that's been reviewed and passed. I mean, it's obviously within the city limits, and then we have service all the way around.
Within the city limits proper, okay, so
Yeah.
it's not Area B or anything?
Yeah,
like
I'm
that.
sorry.
Okay.
This is within city limits.
Thank you. That answers the question. Yeah, okay. Other questions for Chris? Thank you. Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Thank you.
All right. We have item 11, request for approval of an agreement with Commonwealth Engineers Incorporated for booster pump station improvements not to exceed $408,435. Dan Hudson.
For the record, I'm Dan Hudson, Capital Projects Manager for the City of Bloomington. We have 2 water booster stations that are dire need of replacement and redesign. So we'd like to hire Commonwealth Engineers to do the design, alternative project delivery assistance, and construction phase services for both the South Central Station and the West Booster Station for $408,435. I'm open to questions.
Questions for Dan? Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved?
Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Motion is approved. Next is item 12, request for approval of an agreement with O.W. Crone and Associates, LLC, for consultation for the 2022 Waterworks Revenue Bond issuance not to exceed $50,000. Matt Havey.
Yeah, Mahoney, Assistant Director of Finance. This is consulting work that was done for the bond sale that I believe was done around June. We're just wrapping up some work, and we're getting the final payment out for that.
Super. Any questions for Matt?
But this is, it says the press approval of the agreement. So has the work already been done? Okay. Okay.
It was part of the bond sale.
Okay.
Other questions? Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 13, request for approval of an agreement with BBC Pump and Equipment Company Incorporated, influent pump rebuild at Blucher Pool wastewater treatment plant, not to exceed $30,635. Joe Potts.
Hi, I'm Joe Potts, Superintendent at Blucher Pool Wastewater Treatment Plant. And this is for, we have 5 influent pumps. This is to rebuild one of them. We had it taken in their shop and disassembled, and they found what all needed to be done, including some major components like the impeller and bearings and things like that. Whereas the initial estimate they gave us was if they could take it into their shop, replace the seals and gaskets and clean it up and, you know. So it's important to us. It pumps from 2 to 3 million gallons a day, depending on what our flow is. Sometimes we get up to 14 MGD, so it's important to us. We've been without it since March or April, and of course, it's been mostly dry weather, so we'll be needing it soon, if possible.
Any questions for Joe? Joe, just curious, what's your treatment levels been since the new hospital came online? What's that trend been? What's that been looking like?
It has not really impacted us much. We probably had a slight increase in flow volume, but we've actually been experiencing, not just during the summer, but thus far into fall, a very low flow for some reason, and we believe it's related to some other lift stations that aren't online and things like that. But yeah, basically, IU put in a bar screen to take out floatables and solids and things, and that seems rather effective. We haven't seen an increase in, you know, things like that coming in that we have to remove.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Thanks for that report. Any other questions for Joe? Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to old business. Any old business from the board? Yeah, old business from staff.
Can I read that?
Sure.
So Matt found it. We had several pieces that ended up in the envelope, but this was SAK's number. Their base bid was $735,200, and their alternate number 1 was $133,500.
Thank you, Phil. We
Thanks.
look forward to hearing more about that next meeting. Let's see, old business from staff. Any old business? New business from the board? New business from staff? Subcommittee reports, don't believe we have any. And staff reports?
Oh, yeah, I got a couple items. Let me check my notes here quick. So first off, we'll be bringing the sewer and stormwater rate case to the board on October 24th. So my question is when would the finance subcommittee like to meet? Would we like to meet next Monday on the 17th or before the next board meeting?
It's usually easy.
Who is on this
before the-
finance? Do we know?
Kirk Swan.
Me and, let's see, Kapler, what's,
Winners.
oh, wait a minute.
Finance subcommittee is, appoints the chair.
I remember.
Okay.
What happened? Yeah.
Am I? I think I am
Yes.
too. I remember being at finance committee meetings.
I think the parentheses, yeah, alternate is your alternate, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what's your pleasure, Kirk? 4 o'clock, 2 weeks from today? Does that,
An hour be enough? Better look, hadn't I? Make sure I'm here.
So what date are we talking?
24th?
24th, 4 o'clock?
Yeah, that's good with me. Let's plan on that.
okay, Latrina, it sounds like we've decided the 24th at 4 PM will work for everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
And anyone who is not on the committee is welcome to attend.
Oh, sure.
Right.
So that was item 1?
Item 1, item 2 is I'd like to welcome Catherine Zager, our new Assistant Director of Environmental. So thanks for her first board meeting.
Welcome.
And then I just had one more thing that they wanted me to bring up is that we had an employee, Toby Axum, went to the AWWA meter assembly contest, and he won our district, so he will be representing us at the state competition some point next year. So So that was kind of a good
Excellent.
accomplishment. So,
That's a timed
yeah,
event?
yeah. I think they just throw all the bits out on the table, and then whoever can put it together the fastest correctly wins. So,
Great.
Maybe he could come do that here.
yeah, if we can ask.
How big is the table?
I'm not sure.
Then an agenda item.
But that was it from staff.
Thank you. Any questions from the board for staff regarding their report? Anything they covered or didn't cover?
Catherine, is it Catherine with a K, with a calf? Wait. Okay.
Oh, Catherine. Oh, it's Catherine.
Okay. Welcome.
Okay, that's it. Petitions and communications from anyone? Well, thanks, everyone, for your patience and persistence. And we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.